Welcome back to I Am Angus, brought to you by the Igenity Profile for Angus, helping Angus producers everywhere make more accurate genetic evaluation decisions.
You know, I was the quirky, nerdy kid that everybody thought was weird. I can remember back in the early 70s going to my very first agricultural engineering meeting. In fact, that was my first professional trade group. And I was really weird, nobody wanted to talk to me. But when I showed them my drawings, then I got respect. Basically what I had to do is I had to sell my work and not myself. And so I always had portfolios of work that I could show people. And I have found a lot of other quirky, nerdy kids are having problems. I said, you've got to make a portfolio of your work, whether it's your drawings, it's your computer programming, some of your writing. You've got to sell your work rather than yourself. And that's how I got my business going. When I first started out in the cattle industry in the early 70s, no women were working in the feed yards other than in the office. So I was entering a man's world, and it was tough getting involved in the man's world. But then there were a few people that accepted me, like Ted Gilbert at the Red River Feed Yard, and that's what kept me going. Then I gradually got my first jobs and designed them. One of the things that I learned is that selling the new system, the new corral system or the new dip fed or cattle handling system, that was a lot easier than getting people to operate it correctly. Because I have found that people want the thing more than they want the management. They want to buy the magic thing or drug or computer or whatever that's going to solve all their problems. But good management requires attention to a whole lot of little details. And one of the things that my auditing program did is it forced the plant managers to manage their facilities, because most of those plants we fixed with very simple changes. Because in order to pass the McDonald's audit and stay on the McDonald's approved supplier list, they had to make certain scores. Like, for example, if more than 1% of the cattle fell down at any point in the facility, they failed the audit. In other words, they had to make certain numbers. It worked beyond my wildest dreams because it was very simple. The plants knew exactly what they had to do. And McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King buy from 90% of all the big plants. So the entire industry was in this. And the reason it worked is it's simple, like speeding. You know, speeding out in the highway. You know what the speed limit is. And this has worked really well because they've got to make the numbers. I'm also really pleased now that the meat companies are putting in video auditing that is audited by auditors over the internet that are in another state by a third-party independent auditing company. And this solves the problem of bad behavior when nobody is around, because you never know when the auditor is going to look. I am a big proponent of this. And if you look at how the slaughter plants are now compared to what they were in the mid-90s, there's no comparison. It's the difference between night and day. And that's one of the reasons why on YouTube, you type in cattle feedlot, you're seeing just everyday activities getting in the top hits. Because people are interested in how do you do things. They want to learn about egg. They want to just learn about the basics, you know, that all cows and calves are out on range. Beef is not raised like veal. Beef and dairy cattle are different breeds of cattle. They don't even know that. People ask me all the time, since you care about animals, how can you be eating meat and designing slaughter plants? Well, I feel very strongly that we've got to give those animals a decent life. And when it goes to the slaughter plant, a painless death. You know, people forget, nature can be very harsh. Nature's cruel, but we don't have to be. And we have got to make our relationships with cattle a symbiotic relationship, a mutually beneficial relationship. We treat them right, then in return we get meat and we get leather from them. I'm proud to work in the agriculture industry. Autism would totally take over if I let it, but I'm not going to let it do that. I've had situations where I've told them I only did an autism meeting if I could get a good cattle meeting to go along with it, because I like doing my job, you know, teaching students in ag, and also, you know, working with clients and working on the auditing programs and working on finding practical ways to improve things. And I plan to stay in ag, but I now am talking to broader audiences. And I just want to tell them accurately how things are done.